Hey everyone, Ian King here, editor at Smart Profits Daily, and today I'm going to explain the Bitcoin halving cycle and what does it mean for the price of Bitcoin. But before I do that, I want to please ask you to subscribe to our channel, of course, if you haven't already. And if you like this content, feel free to smash that like button down there and also leave a comment. So what is the Bitcoin halving cycle? Because there's been a lot of buzz about it in the media. People are really excited about the crypto markets. Bitcoin has doubled from its lows in March, and a lot of other cryptocurrencies have rallied as well. And before we talk about this halving, I want to address how Bitcoin works. How does the protocol work? Because you really need to understand what the idea was behind Bitcoin to understand the halving cycle. Now, when Bitcoin was first created back in 2009, it was an answer to the endless amount of central bank money printing. The creators of Bitcoin wanted a peer-to-peer cryptocurrency that didn't need a banking intermediary to transfer something of value. They also wanted a form of digital money that just couldn't be endlessly replicated. They wanted to create something that had scarcity value. And the protocol tells us that there can only be 21 million Bitcoins ever created in existence. And so far, there's been 18.3 million Bitcoins that have been what's known as mined. And the mining process, the way that Bitcoin is created, is a network of high-powered computers that solve a cryptographic puzzle. It's a very difficult math puzzle to solve. And the computer that solves it gets to add a new block to this ongoing blockchain. And in doing so, if you are the lucky computer that wins the block, you get a reward, and the reward is in Bitcoin. And this reward is how Bitcoin is created. And that's how we've gotten 18.3 million Bitcoins created so far. Now you might be thinking to yourself, well, there's already 18.3 million in circulation, and there's only a cap of 21 million. Isn't this going to end soon? Because Bitcoin has already been around for 11 years. And the answer to that is the halving cycle, because every 4 years or so, every 210,000 blocks that are created, the reward that the miner receives for adding a new block to the chain gets cut in half. And so take a look at this. When Bitcoin first launched in 2009, the block reward was 50 Bitcoins. And then 10.5 million Bitcoin came out of that first string of blocks, and then there was a halving that happened in November of 2012. After 210,000 blocks, it went down to 25 new Bitcoin created as a mining reward per block. And then the second halving happened in July of 2016, in which 12.5 new Bitcoins were created every block. And in the next week, we're going to have our third halving, which means that there will only be 6.25 Bitcoins created for every block that's mined, effectively cutting the daily supply in half. So if you can think about gold, which is also another scarce commodity, gold has value because there's only a limited amount of it in the earth, and it costs money to get it out of the ground. So the concept behind Bitcoin mining is very similar. But could you imagine if all of a sudden the world's gold resources that were in the ground, or the daily output, was cut in half? It would probably make the price of gold go up. So let's look at how the halving cycle has impacted price in the past. Take a look at this chart. Now this goes all the way back to 2011, and I've identified the places where halving cycles occurred. So around 2012, there were 50 Bitcoin created every 10 minutes. And then remember, in November of 2012, there was a halving cycle occurred, which dropped that block rate to 25 Bitcoins created every 10 minutes. As a consequence, the price went up 9,400%. And this happened really just in the first year and a half of the halving cycle. And then it kind of went sideways for a while. And then you had another halving cycle in 2016 where it went to 12.5 Bitcoin created every 10 minutes. And the price jumped up 2,600% as a result of that. And then the price kind of went sideways for a while. And that's where we are now. So a lot of people are really excited because the last two halving cycles have been catalysts for new price moves in Bitcoin. Is it going to happen? Well, there's a lot of buzz about this right now, and I can tell you for the first time I've seen a Wall Street research firm called Jefferies actually come out and say you have to buy Bitcoin ahead of the halving cycle, which I find to be kind of interesting because the last two halving cycles that occurred, nobody really cared and the price went up. Now, however, I think there's a lot of investors that are really excited about this, and we could have a price pop that lasts a couple days, and then maybe it creates a whole new rally where Bitcoin goes to a new price high. There's a lot of other narratives driving the sector, especially the narrative that central banks are actively working to add more money to supply around the world to fight the coronavirus and stimulate their economy. So people are looking at alternatives to their own fiat currency, and cryptocurrencies could be one of those alternatives. Another narrative is the idea that venture capital funds keep raising hundreds of millions of dollars, so there's more institutional money coming into the sector. So both are very bullish. But I would also temper that enthusiasm with the idea that this halving cycle is out there. We've been talking about it for 6 months right now, and it might be a short-term sell the news event where the price drops. In that case, it would be a great opportunity to buy Bitcoin if you haven't already, if we do get a sell-off on the halving cycle, because you have a lot of what I call crypto tourists who kind of just come in when they hear of a big event and they think they can make a quick buck, and then when the price doesn't appreciate like they expect it to, they all turn to sellers. So if the price of Bitcoin drops, I would say after the halving, I would say it is a great time to pick up some shares. Okay, so that is it for Bitcoin's halving cycle. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, give us a like, and I will talk to you next week. Thanks for tuning in. Take care.